This lesson is Go Math Chapter 12.4 for Wednesday, May 13th. On page 501 is where we're going to start our lesson about combining shapes. So our directions ask us to fill each outline and draw to show our work. So on the left one, we're going to draw two different shapes. So I put a 2 here. On the right one, we're going to draw 3 different shapes. So I put a 3 to help us remember. So we want 2 different shapes on the one on the left. So if I can see the point here, the vertex here, it kind of make me think of a triangle with 3 sides. 1, 2, 3. So if I draw a line there, that would give me a triangle. And if I look and visualize, if I draw a line here, then I see a square. So I would have 2 different shapes. So I'm just going to go ahead and go from this vertex and draw a straight line across. And now I have a triangle and a square. 2 different shapes. Okay, on this side, I need to draw 3 different shapes. So again, I see kind of a V shape, upside down V shape. It kind of makes me, again, think of a triangle. So I know I could draw a line right here, and that would give me a triangle. And then I would have a rectangle already on the bottom, but that would only be 2 shapes. I need 3 shapes. But what I'm thinking is I'm kind of visualizing, if I go ahead and make this a triangle, then I could draw another line, and then I would have 2 shapes here. And if they're all the same size on each side, they would be squares. If 2 sides are long and 2 sides are short, then they would be 2 rectangles. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to draw a line straight across from this vertex to that vertex to make a triangle. And then I'm just going to go right in the middle and make a line down, and I can see that I was able to make 2 rectangles because these 2 sides are long and these 2 sides are short. So 2 long and 2 short. So that's 1, 2, 3 different shapes. So that's what we're going to be doing in this lesson, is we're going to be combining shapes to make new shapes. Okay. So for our example at the top on page 502, we have 2 rectangles, and we want to combine or put together those 2 rectangles to make a new shape. So we could just push them together, and then that would make a square because they're all the same length on all 4 sides. Or I could make this one lay down and push them together so it kind of looks like an L shape, and that is those 2 rectangles. Okay, so how else could you combine these 2 to make a new shape? You could put one on top of the other, kind of like a T shape. That would be another way. Okay, down at the bottom, we're going to circle 2 shapes that combine, put together, to make the shape on the left. So we want to make the shape on the left a circle. So of these 3 shapes, which 2 could we put together to make that circle? Okay, so circles are pretty easy to tell because they're all rounded. So we can see that we would need rounded shapes. So we're not really going to be able to use this rectangle because it doesn't have any rounded edges. They're all vertex, corners and sides. So if I were to cut it in half like this, that would be the top and that would be the bottom. So the 2 shapes I need are these 2 half circles. Okay. To make this rectangle, what 2 shapes could I use? So if I try to use a triangle and a square, if I had to put those together, there's no way I could put those together where it would make a rectangle. But if I turn this one facing the same way as this square and push them together, then that would be a rectangle. So kind of like, imagine it like that. So if I cut it in half like that, this would not go, but these 2 would go. Okay. Okay, so I want you to look, which two down here do you think would make this shape on the left? So you have to kind of visualize that and think how it's curved. It has kind of a point up here. So would this fit anywhere? So remember, this is the same shape we used for our circle. So it's, see, I can't really visualize that because it has a straight line. It wouldn't really go, so I don't think that one would go. But I do think the answer must be these two. Okay? All right, you're going to do number 4 and 5 on your own. So make sure you look at the shapes, okay, to see. So if you see, it has to have some kind of curved shape, so that gives you a clue. This one has no curves, so that gives you a clue of what two shapes. Okay, let's look at number 6. Draw lines to show 2 different ways to combine the shapes on the left to make new shapes on the right. So we have a diamond, or if you turn it over, it could be a square, rectangle, square. So I have 2 squares and a rectangle. So I see very easily, I can see there's a square right here. So that would be 1 square. But then I need another square and another rectangle. So remember, the rectangle has long sides and 2 short sides. So here's a short side, so I can make another short side here. And there's my rectangle, and there's my other square. So I have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, over here, a different way for those same 3 shapes. So instead of making this the square, I'm going to make this the rectangle. So I have the rectangle, oh, and then look, I'm already done. And here's a square, and here's a square. Okay, number 7, I need 2 squares and 2 triangles. All right, so I have these L shapes, and I need 2 squares and 2 triangles. So if I just draw my line straight down, there's 1 square. And I can make another square. There's 2, now I have 3 squares. So I need to make 2 triangles. If I draw a line right in the middle of that square, now I have 1 triangle and a second triangle. So now I have 2 triangles and 2 squares. Okay, over here we need to figure out a new way to do that. So maybe we can make our triangles on this side. So I'm going to make my triangles here. Here's a triangle and here's a triangle, and then maybe my 2 squares there. Okay, you can do it any way you would like. All right. Okay, on page 504, on number 8, it's asking us again to draw lines to show the shapes on the left combine to make a new shape. So we have these 2 shapes, a triangle and a rectangle, and we need to make those over here. So I see a starting of a triangle here, but it needs 3 sides. 1, 2, so I need 1 more side. So I'm going to draw a straight line from vertex to vertex. And then I also made my rectangle. Pretty easy. Okay, for this one, I need a half circle, and then this is a quarter of a circle. So if you were to cut that in half again, you would see it over there. So a half circle, I could either go this way for my half circle or this way for my half circle. You make up your mind, and then the other part will be that. And then down here, we need a rectangle and 2 squares. So a rectangle and 2 squares. So you can look on the one on the previous page, and that will help you with that one. Okay, number 11 says circle 2 shapes that can combine to make this new shape. So here's our new shape. We need to make 2 shapes out of it. So remember, I can tell it's looking like a triangle here because you can kind of see the 1, 2, it just needs a 3rd side, so maybe 3. So I can see a triangle. And then this is another shape we learned. Remember, that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. This one, a hexagon. Okay, so my 2 shapes are a triangle and a hexagon. Okay, go ahead and do the same with the white pages on page 504 if you would like. Okay, in your packet, we're doing lesson 6 today on page 239 and 240. All right, we have already done tables like this with adding and subtracting. This time, we need to read. If it says adding, we're going to make sure that we count up on our number line because that's plus. If it says to subtract, we're going to make sure we take away and we're going to count backwards on our number line. So if you need to, draw out a number line, and I want you to go ahead and write plus means we go up on our number line, minus subtract means we go back on our number line. Okay, so make sure you remember that. So remember that when we're adding, the big number comes last. That's the sum. But when we're subtracting, we already start with the big number and we have to get a smaller number for the difference of the answer. So if we're going to add 2 and add 1, so 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, start at 4 on your number line, add 1 more, just 1 hop, 5. So when you're adding 1, it's just the very next number. So 6, the next number is 7, because you're adding. 8, the next number plus 1 is 9. Okay, now this time we're going to subtract 1. So 2, take 1 away, 1. 4, and take 1 away, just go 1 back, 3. 6, subtract 1, 5. 8, subtract 1, go back 1, 7. Okay, so make sure you read if you're going to add or subtract. Okay, and then you're gonna write. Same thing on the back. Just going to look at your rule. You're going to add, subtract, 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 add, add. Okay. Now this one, we're going to have to find the rule and complete the table. So a little bit different because we've got some blanks in different places. But this one I see is all full. So let's go to our number line. Start at 7. How are we going to get to 10? Are we going to go forward to add to get 10 or go backwards to subtract to get 10? If we already have 7 and we need to get to 10, so let's make a little dot here. This is where we need to get and this is where we are. Okay? If we're starting at 7, how are we going to get to 10? We have to go forward. How many forward do we go? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that tells me that I need to add 3 to get to 10. Okay, so plus 3. You can write the word add if you'd like. So now that I know the rule, now I can do the rest of the table. So 3 plus 3, oh, we know that. That's a doubles. 6. If it's 8, what do I add 3 to get to 8? So I can think, 8, and I need 3. So if I go backwards 3, that will tell me how many I start with. So let's go backwards 3. 1, 2, 3. So if I start at 5 and I add 3 more, 1, 2, 3, I do get to 8. Okay, and we already did 7 and 10. Okay, now I'm at 12. What number, I need a smaller number that I can add 3 to get to 12. So I can go backwards to help me find that out. So let's go backwards 3, count it. 1, 2, 3. 9. So let's just check that and make sure. 9, does it take 3 to get to 12? 1, 2, 3. Yes, it does. So we found our rule is adding 3. Okay, have a great day. Have fun with math.